This is the Bar Stewards Enquiry.
Right? You're talking absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
In what way?
You were an underachiever in life. I saved your bacon one time. You were gone.
You handled that well. I couldn't save you. But you did the right thing.
But that's why you don't know anything about racing, John.
I didn't say I do.
Right?
I'm saying that...
What have you contributed to racing? You're one of these take-out merchants. Take out all you can.
And a very warm welcome to the Bar Stewards Enquiry Weekend Podcast, where this weekend we've got the Dewhurst, the Cesarewitch, and for you Twig Hopper fans, we return to Chepstow. And joining me tonight are the usual guests, but we've got a little cameo from our dear friend who's been tucked away in a Martin's cellar. Cathryn Fry will be just popping in later in the show, just for a chinwag about the Chepstow card tomorrow, as we me, John and Nick know nothing. so it'll be left to Cathryn and maybe Andy to interject when she comes on the show. But so anyway, I've spoiled who's on tonight. It's John Lang, Nick Davis, Andy Richmond. Good evening, chaps.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. I know, mood. Right, anyway, it's been a bad week for me. But, right, we come on to this weekend, and it's all about positivity and winners. So, straight on to the best bets category. Third best bet. Davis, I'm coming to you because I know you'll kick us off on the right note.
Oh, I doubt it this time. I'm actually going to do I think the race is awful this weekend for winner selecting. So, I'm going to have an anti-boast bet on the Balmoral handicap, and you know what I'm going to back. It's called Blue for You. At 20 to 1 for the Balmoral.
Price. It's going to ruin the price. Jesus, shut up.
If you watched the 7 furlong handicap, which is a bit too short for it, last weekend, the gap closed. He's travelling well, the gap closed, and he hasn't got quite the 7 furlong pace to go through it. O'Meara's got these mile handicaps by the nuts, hasn't he? He's had Orban and Blue for You in the Goodwood Golden Mile, Blue for You and Escobar in the York August race, and he's had Escobar winning the 7 furlong, and he's got all the lines in there. And what with Escobar getting a penalty, you'd have to think Blue for You is not going to start. If he does run, he's not going to start anywhere near 20 to 1. 5 to 1 favourite, I'm calling it if he goes.
Wow. Love your anti-purse schnizzle. 20 to 1 then for Davis to kick us off with Blue for You. That's with Paddy Power Betfair. So that's his 1 point win. Nick, have you already backed this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you like full up now? Are you full up? Are you full up to the hill? Have you got your satchel?
No. I've had a 1 point winner at 20s. When it's declared again, I'll probably go in again. Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Much to Andy Richmond's disdain there, spoiling the prices.
I'll have to go out in the morning now, won't I?
so
get my little blue car out in the morning.
Yeah, so that's next Saturday for listeners that don't know when the Balmoral is, on the Champions Day, of course. So Blue for You, 20s to start the show. Nice one, Nick. Andy Richmond.
I'm fed up now.
We're all fed up.
West Ham supporters, come on here. You let them on here. Spoil the price. I don't know. Right, we're going to go. There's no twig hopping. I haven't gone twig hopping because I didn't think it's fair yet to go twig hopping whilst it's still a flat competition. So
very fair.
Go to Newmarket for one of it's the shirt. Got to have a shirt, haven't you?
Yep.
And Pink Crystal. I've forgotten what time the blooming race is.
The 450. That's the Birdie-Seer.
Yeah, Pink Crystal. Now I spotted this one. She's run well this year. Now I spotted this one at York about 2 runs ago, and she ran 5th of 13, and it was a really good run because it was a day when the track really favoured a bit of pace, and she was trying to come from off it, and the contest developed middle to far side, and those drawn lower seen to the best advantage. The first 3 home were drawn 1, 3 and 5. Dear old Pink Crystal was drawn in stall 11, which I have adjusted the draw, which is a bugbear of mine. I wish Time Form and the Racing Post would do that, because otherwise the form book looks absolutely rubbish, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's just you can save that one for one of your shows on Sunday when you things that get you go, and that's one of mine.
Yes.
But Pink Crystal, I think, was better suited by a 6 furlong trip. She'd already won over that this year. I thought she ran really well last time out when she was behind 3/4 of a length behind Gale Force Meyer, who reopposes this time. But I've got a feeling she might just turn her over this time out. And she's well up to winning a listed event. So we'll have a point on Pink Crystal tomorrow.
And that's 8-1 with 888 Sport Andy for you.
I mean, be lucky to get 2 quid.
Well, I've got to reward you with the best price possible. We like to play the Fantasy Island prices.
Yes.
Makes our profits look better when we you know.
I'll take the 8th one. Yeah, I'll take you probably get 8. You probably get 8s on Betfair, but I thought it was a sporting choice, as all of mine are this evening.
Indeed. Nice start to the show. Some nice prices there. I will spoil it later, of course. But I'm going to come on to John first. John, your third best?
Could I have an anti-post bet on next year's Fielden Stakes at the Cape?
SP only to you. we know about your early season platform, so it's SP only.
No, that's not very good, is it? Okay, then, in that case, from a 1 point win bet, I'm going to, well, it's not be Lurkle, but it's Lurkle enough, and that's York, 3:15, last year's winner, Volatile Analyst. Right, thanks.
This might lead. I'm wondering if this would be a klaxon then.
I've got the klaxon ready.
Well,
It's not much higher in the rating than last year. More importantly than that, though, this horse goes well on York Soft, which to me can be crucial at this time of year. As with last year, he's coming here off a fairly filthy run at Ayr in the Ayr Gold Cup. He actually finished lame this year. He's rarely had conditions in his favour this year. The one time he did, he won at Doncaster. He's only 5. He's not heavily campaigned either. It's not old for a sprinter. Could still be open to a tad of improvement, this fella. He's got a nice draw tomorrow, and I think the price is way too big.
Double carpet, 33-1, John.
That's only with Denise, though, isn't it? It's about 22 elsewhere.
Well, this is what we do. We've just
Denise likes to accommodate me, Nicholas.
No, I don't.
33s with the Stoke-on-Trent firm.
My mate with the Denise account is away.
Yeah. No, what's a start to the show? So, is it 1 point win, John?
It is.
Yeah. Lovely tip, that. Obviously, is ground reliant and won off a pound lower last season, that's all, but did the business. Nice selection. And the chuckle from Davis might reveal more later on, maybe. Good start to the show. And now I'm going to ruin it with a shorter price selection. For my 1 point win, we go to Chelmsford. I'm doing a Franks, as Franks is not here to carry the all-weather can. I'm going for a bet at the 7 o'clock Chelmsford tomorrow night. It's Ray Guest's Aramis Grey at 9-2. That's with, again, the Kurtz firm. We love the Stoke-on-Trent firm. This horse really is he's an bit of an all-weather beast, really, especially around Chelmsford. The form last time she ran here was against Tippy Turs. She gave, and this was annoying because I backed her this night as well, and she broke really well. And Callum Shepherd obviously must have had instructions to take a lead or go back. And obviously the usual Tippy Toes missed the break, got the easy lead of the kill, you know, and she was much the best. Aramis Grey would have beaten her if he'd just rode her more handy and not as negatively. She would have beaten Tippy Toes. So that's obviously very strong form. You look at other runs at Chelmsford before that, she was third to Princess Shabnam. We'll look at Princess Shabnam this season, currently sort of running at won the listed race at Pontefract, beating Gale Force Mayor. The form she's got some really strong form around here, and I think this is an ideal race. It's quite a weak race. It's a Class 4, but there's nothing in here that you're sort of worried about. Chief of Staff that they've put in favourite. He's very, very tricky. He's a very, very tricky horse to win with. You know, he's shirked the issue a lot in his career. So I'm not really, that's an ideal favourite to bet against, and the opposition isn't that much. So a 1 point win for me, 9-2, Aramis Grey, bet 365. Good first round. John, I'll swing it straight round to you.
That's a bit of a shock, but there we go. My 2 point win bet I don't know whether he's an old friend or not. He's cost me money the last twice. 3 Yorkshiremen, 130 at York, the nursery. I do think he's had 2 fairly fetid rides since switching to handicaps. There was first where Oshino was too confident, in my opinion, and then drift back. And that said, he did bump into a rockfell running up, so I think it was probably no disgrace anyway, given the circumstances. Then, last time at Chester, he was given absolutely no chance when I think it was Andrew Mullen allowed him to walk out of a prime draw box, and he spent the rest of the race looking for room. On the plus side, with that Chester run, the winner of that race has come out today and run a blinder in that 2-year-old final at York.
With Streets of Gold,
Yeah. He's probably hit a mark £10 in excess of what he won off at Chester. I think the Farhi team will be disappointed if this ends the season as a sub-80 horse. And I think this is a fairly good opportunity on a more suitable track for him to show what he's capable of.
Well, this is the track that he showed his form in the Convivial, where he's a lot better in his position. So, it's a very fair mark, John. It's a good race. This, I mean, obviously you could run 5 or 6 above your mark and not win. It's that kind of race, but still, I do like your case. Obviously, we mentioned it on a sermon, didn't we? As a Jimmy Lindley in the Convivial. Are you going on the Nostrils?
Yes, Nostrils up.
2 points, 10-1 again with Coates. What generosity their traders have overnight, holding up the price.
She's trying to get on my good side, isn't she?
Holding up the prices.
It's just a bag of balls. It's like a bingo machine. That's all they do is pick them out like that.
I mean, these traders must love it. They must think, right, we'll stick this one at 5-2. Everyone else is 7-4, but we'll hold it till 9 o'clock till we can get on with it, and then we'll cut it. Of course, that doesn't go off. I'm just making it up. But anyway, so 2 points for John, 3 Yorkshiremen. There's only 2 Yorkshiremen on the show, and so now I'll come back to you, Andy Richmond, for your 2-pointer.
I'm gonna split mistakes. I like doing this because it's in a difficult handicap, and we've already had one tip in the race.
Yeah.
So I'm going the other side. The first one is Admiral D. Now, I've had this horse on my mind for absolutely ages. He ran second to Lethal Levi back in that very good 3-year-old handicap back in the 7th of July. He ran a good third at Ascot. Then the race I really picked him out of, which I don't think he was trying at all, was the 7th at Thirsk, where he was held up out the back. This is Admiral D I'm talking about. He then went and ran 6th on good ground at Doncaster in the Kazoo handicap over 7 furlongs. And then the run that really took me on was the 7th last time out in the old Air Gold Cup. And if you watch that race, he ran a really good race in it. And the horse just needs softer ground. He needs everything to drop his way, but big field handicap, everything needs to drop his way. I think looking at the racing today, although this race has traditionally been won by horses from a low draw, I think 8 out of the last 9 have been won from single figure draws. I think that the stands, it'll probably change over tomorrow, but I think the stand side is a bit slightly more advantageous, although the sheep jockeys will probably go all over the place tomorrow. But Admiral D is certainly the first for the scaffolder. And the other one is an old friend of mine, and they followed a pattern with this horse for years, Gulliver. Now, I did back him in the Air Gold Cup last time out. He didn't run a particularly good race, but he fell out of the boxes. Ran a really promising race the time before at the Curragh, where he finished really, really well. And he's won this race twice before off much higher marks. And he's got a very good record in October. He's 4 from 7 in October. A return visit here looks to be the sort of plan. Mr. O'Mara, we've already touched on him. He does very well in these sort of York handicaps. So I couldn't resist backing both of them because they've both been on my mind all the time. And the cat, although the cat passed away, would be getting pelters if either of them went and won. So a point on Gulliver, point on Admiral D in that very tricky sprint handicap.
Okay, good stuff. So obviously John's tipped Volatile Analyst.
We'll be all over the place in that. He might have a try cast.
Yeah, Andy going with so Admiral D. So that's the first 20-1 again with Denise and Paddy Power Betfair. Andy, so you want one on each of these, yeah?
One on each, yeah. Point on each would do me fine.
Yeah, Admiral D and obviously Gulliver, as is mentioned, that is 9-1 with Bet365 Paddy Power and Betfair. Good luck, Andy, with that. Okay, my second best bet is I was going to criticise Andy for a Dutch, but I'm going for 2 Dutches this week.
I was going to do another one, yeah.
Split steak wankers galore. So very hypocritical of me to criticise Andy. So my second best bet is in the Cesarewitch, and I'm of the view, like I'm old school here in terms of like when I see like the chalk, if you like, I look at the chalk and I'll say, would you back the chalk or would you take on the chalk? So a horse with no name and Run for Oscar in the Cesarewitch, 9-2 available with all for pretty much quite a few firms. It works out at 7-4 if you back both. So would you want the field at 4-7? Or would you back the front 2 at 7-4? Some bookmakers would say, well, we'll take the front 2 on and we'll have the field for 4-7. However, I think the 7-4 is enormous value, the pair. So it's going to be 1 point win on each at 9-2, generally available. But the case really here is this is not a good Cesarewitch. It's not filled. It's an absolute disgrace. It's not. I mean, this is a race where normally, they're in they can't get them on the track. It's that wide, the stalls. But 22 runners with the 34 field size limit is not good, really. So
do you know what, Lee? We've never had less than 30 runners this century in the Cesarewitch. Yeah,
and if that ain't a massive alarm bell signal, because
exactly,
it's all right. I mean, I know it's not the like the Irish says was enormous prize money, but even and we've had the EBO, so I get this, but to the degree that it's still 103,000 for the winner, 48,000 for second, 24,000 for third, and we can't fill the race. It's a shocking state of affairs. So with that in mind, then a horse with no name and Run for Oscar. If you look, you've only got to watch the races. I don't really have to go through it. These are horses miles. They've got miles more improvement to come. Literally, the handicap has definitely not got hold of either. It's just a case of what probably gets the best trip out of the two for me. The rest of the field that I can see, you could say Vino Victrix maybe has got some kind of squeak, but I don't think that's up with these two, and 7-4 makes a lot of appeal in what is a very substandard race. Because Nick, you fancied Rock Eagle in the race, didn't you? And now that's gone.
Yeah, but if you watch the Ascot Stakes, I think Rob Hornby wanted to arrive soon, so he shot past them coming into the straight.
Yeah,
and then I nearly had a bet similar to yours in that race, but I think rather than back him at 7-4, if you think they're so far ahead, why don't you have a point reverse forecast?
Well, exactly. If you follow Zilzal on Twitter, that's Nick's Twitter account. You'll see Nick often when he likes two, he loves to put them in a reverse forecast, and I can't see a problem with that either.
Because we're going to put Rock Eagle in blinkers first time as well.
Yeah, they were going to put Rock Eagle in blinkers. Yeah.
So while I'm apologising for split staking, that's where I'm at for my 2-pointer.
Blogger.
Yeah, absolutely.
Blogger.
It gets worse, and by the way, it gets worse after this.
Shit.
Nick Davis.
He's going to the Dewhurst next, isn't he?
Nick Davis.
I thought you were going to try and catch me in this naps table thingy. I'm giving you a chance.
I know. I'm running out of time. I know. I'm shocking, really. I'm running out of time, but I'm doing the best for the Billy Bunters. Nick Davis.
Right. I was nearly going to put up that 1 point reverse forecast because I've looked at the Mullins runners. Baby Zeus has been the one for money. Scaramanga and the Ascot. That Scaramanga's always, and this Mullins, because the other two, funnily enough, are one for Mullins' first time out, the other two in his race. But Sappy's on one of them. And, Holly Doyle's think the only lady jockey to have won a major 2 mile handicap, because they, in a tight handicap, it's got to be a thing. So I didn't fancy that. Baby Zeus was a bit of a thing. And I think Scaramanga's a bit weak in the finish.
I don't like him.
Yeah. But I've gone for I'm actually having a rare each way selection here. because I watched it may be outclassed, but I watched it. They put pieces on it first time. It's the Hughes train Berscali, is it?
Bascule. Oh,
Bascule.
don't do this to me. This was I napped this on the show last time.
Well,
It
no.
held up
It had horrible field position in that slowly run race where Rajitsky just went along and they dawdled along until the 3 furlong mark.
Yeah.
It had horrible field position. I just felt, I think it's 40s. I haven't had a bet yet. It's 40s the main price each way. I thought that was a bit too big. It might just sort of squeak in. I mean, I can see Lee's point. I mean, I would personally do a reverse forecast. I understand and nearly put that up, but Bascule each way for me.
Yeah, no, listen, I mean, I put this up last time in the Cesarewitch trial because I really thought he's untapped, really, as a stayer. There's a lot more potential to come. And that race didn't play to his advantage. And like you said, Nick, it was if you bet it that day, it was very frustrating because it was also the only horse to come from off the pace to even look like
the first 3 just went blum along at the front.
Yeah, so that could be that's the one that maybe it won't sink me because I'll even probably cover that to cover the expenses just to make sure I don't lose on it. But 40s with Coral, enormous with you can get on with Coral, Nick, can't you?
Yeah, well, in the morning if I go there, it's probably 33s. But
yeah. 40s, Bascule. So are you one each way?
Yeah, one each way because they may have something with a bit more scope and a bit more thing to go. Right, so a rare each way bet.
But you only get, but the good thing is here, you get first 4 week Coral, but it's a quarter of the odds.
Yeah, that'll do. I don't want to know this Ponce in 5th of the odds.
Yeah, old school. A bit of 10 to 1 your money for your one each way. Okay, so that completes the 2 point rounders. I'll kick us off with the last round because it's shameful, absolutely shameful. This is probably one of my lowest points on the show, and it's a Dutch bet in Ireland. At the Curragh, it's their principal or the highest graded race on the card, not the prize money. But Group 3, the Staffordstown Stud Stakes, the 2 o'clock at Curragh. This year, it's priced completely wrong. It's so far out you wouldn't believe. I know it's embarrassing to do a Dutch bet, the first 2 in the market, but again, I'm just trying to highlight value. 2 to 1 Be Happy, that's with William Hill bet 365. And 4 to 1 Gerson bet 365. It works out at 10 to 11 the pair, and I priced it up. This was my price. I priced the entire field. I made Be Happy 5 to 4. I made Gerson 7 to 4. Clever and Cool 7 to 1, and it's pick your own strawberries the rest. So we're talking. I made this about 2 to 7, 1 to 4. Either Be Happy or goes and wins. You're getting 10 to 11 at the early prices. It's a vast rick. These 2 are head and shoulders above. They're good. They're really, really, really good fillies. Be Happy, very impressive on debut. Fine sort physically from a great family. Goes and did a lot wrong. Again, really big filly. Very, very promising. Good time figure. All the boxes are ticked for Be Happy and goes, and they're well clear of the field. Like I say, I make them 2 to 7, 1 to 4. So I'm going to go 2 points Be Happy at 2 to 1 and 1 point Gerson at 4 to 1. For some absolute disgraceful grinding. This is like when you're playing poker with someone that fold. Big bet. You know, it literally is that. And I apologise to listeners if you think this is incredibly boring. But yeah, that's where I'll kick the 3 pointers off and I'll disappear into a small hole.
Lee, you could have a cross double with your 2 in the Cesarewitch and 2 by 2. There you go.
Well, that's the other thing, right? I'll finish. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. So I'd do 4 trebles. All my 3 selections, 4 trebles. I think it's quite a nice return. You know, if you get lucky and one of the outside, you know, one of the bigger price ones out of 3, it'd be a lovely return. It's a bit of fun for Saturday, but blogger-esque, and I apologise. So
Shameful.
It's shameful. Last 2 weeks I have been terrible on prices front. Okay, Nick Davis, I'm coming to you for your big one.
I agree completely with John about volatile analysts, except for the one thing I agree a bit with Andy about. They seem to come stand side. So I'm gonna play this. If you watched last year's race, I'm gonna play the first two home there. I want 2 points laugh a minute, who's a pound better off with volatile analysts, and 1 point volatile analysts. They're both on opposite sides. So one of them should give you a run for your money. They both come to form soft ground. One last time out, life a minute, it won a Curragh on the Curragh and yielding, and it's just come after indifferent summer on the faster ground. It's come back last time, looking back to form, and this is on the stand side. As you know, they did migrate a lot stand side, but with volatile analysts on the far side. I think they're about 11 and 22, but 33 with Dewhurst, which we're not going to get. But
no, you can get that. John's had it. It's like if John's had it, you can have it. You can have it, Nick. It's not fair if John has it. So John's had the 33. So you want the 1.33's volatile analyst with Denise.
2 points, yeah.
And 2 points, laugh a minute, 11-1 Denise or Paddy Power. Or Bet UK with the bullseye.
Oh, you're joking.
No, come on, Andy.
We've only got the 4 horses.
They blocked me off after one bet.
Well, think yourself lucky you got one. Anyway, so if you'd have gone with Jeff Banks, you'd have avoided it after one, especially if it wins.
No comment. I'll be using your WhatsApp bookies soon.
So it's good stuff, Nick. So it's an interesting race that. Andy's got some interesting stuff. Nick and John have. And he's sort of a klaxon. I've got to raise the klaxon on the 33 spoke. But no one can get. 11-1 laugh a minute also. I like your points of view. Andy Richmond, I'm coming to you for your best. Sorry.
You know I'm going to split stake it, so I do apologise. I don't feel embarrassed now, because at least these are decent.
We've done 2 split stakers, me and Richmond.
So I take your point about a horse with no name and Run for Oscar, because they could be. And as I said, we've never had. 22 runners says. Where did that come from? If this doesn't. I hear all these people, and it gets my goat a little bit, because there's everyone rattling on all summer about the flat's great and wonderful, and the jumps is all small fields. The flat's in as much trouble as the jumps are.
Oh, yeah, the handicaps.
Total bollocks.
At least it's not as bad as 76.
The game in totality, unless somebody gets hold of it by the nuts soon, is really in the shit.
Do you know, in 76 and 79, we had more runners in the Champion Stakes than the Cez?
Yeah.
Exactly. So, somebody needs to get hold of both sides of the game, no matter whether they're jumping twigs or running on the flat. Because 22 runner says is bloody ridiculous. And what, the Cambridgeshire, that didn't fill.
No.
Absolute. So you got two of the autumn double, which never gets spoken about anymore. Just didn't feel. Anyhow, I slightly digress. This is the smallest field. I don't think the draw. When you used to talk to people, when you had a big field, 30 plus runners, the draw used to come into this. I don't think it will this time at all.
No,
I'm going to have I completely agree with you about a horse with no name and Run for Oscar. They do look ahead of them. Hendo's got form in this, hasn't he? He won it with Buzz. He won it with Caracciolo, 50-1 chance, and he won it in 2003. Name of the winner escapes me at the moment.
Landing Light.
That's the one. Well done, Nick. Thank you very much. And of course, the Irish have got form in this as well, especially Mr. Mullins, who's won 3 of the last 4. Yeah, he's won 3 of the last 4, hasn't he?
He was second last year as well.
Yeah, and he's had a pretty good run. So he's got 3 in this. So I had to plump down the middle. I'm going to go with Baby's Use, because I think this one is probably the sort of quietest one of the lot. And if you watch his run last time out in a major Leopardstown handicap, he never got a run at them at all. And then he had his first run back at Galway in July and August. And the 4 most recent Irish train winners, 3 of them are trained by Mr. Mullins, have run at that festival. So I'm pretty sure he was up to something then, or getting it prepared. Tom Marquand rode him at Leopardstown last time out, Baby's Use. He was actually jocked up early in the week, but William Buick, who was won just about every race at Newmarket this afternoon, takes over, and he won the Queen Alexandra for the stable in June. So I didn't think that was a bad jockey booking. So I plumped for Baby's Use as one of the two I'm going to go for.
Wasn't Buick jocked up on the Henderson horse earlier this week?
It's been, yeah, he was. I think somebody said that, and then he's obviously, anyhow, he's not riding it because he's riding Baby's Use. And the other one I'm going to go for is a bit of a favourite of mine, and I don't think he got home last time out. The horse called Zoffy, and his last piece of form, the 3rd of 12 to poor old Alfred Boucher, who's a horse I really like, who had suffered that bad injury at Chester the other week when he was going well and he broke down. I understand the horse is okay though from Ian Williams. Don't know if we'll see him again, but Zoffy, I mean, he looks a different horse to the one we saw over obstacles for Philip Mobb since he's joined Hugo Palmer, and they've switched him to racing on the level. I think the 2.5 they ran him over at Goodwood just stretched his stamina, so I'm hoping he lasts the 2-2 here. But if you watch the York race last time out where he finished 3rd of 12, I mean, he travelled really well into this race. I sort of wish the Cez was over 2 miles. I feel a bit more confident. But I think he's got an entry in this. I think how he performs at 2 miles, I just think he's a bit overpriced. Whilst taking on board, the 7-4 or 4-7 argument, I just think he's a bit overpriced with Dettori on board because he travelled so well last time out. If he can keep him there, I think he's a bit ahead of his mark, actually. So I'll have 1.5 points on Zoffy, 1.5 points on Baby's Use, and try and hit it out the park in the Cez.
No, cracking. Like the prices. So Baby's Use at 12-1 for Andy with Denise, 1.5, and Zoffy at 16-1 with Denise. Yeah, but
just try and hit it out the park.
People think Bet365 are sponsoring this show. The amount of prices you have.
Well, they might do.
Yeah. Right, last but not least, Jonas Lang, fire away.
People won't think 365 are sponsoring this show when they talk of Denise dropping their knickers and all that stuff.
Well, you never know.
You do. Well,
do you think you could get us an account, John?
I'm not doing anything to upset Denise.
No.
You better get your Claxon ready, I'm afraid.
Ooh.
Baby Zeus 3.
Aye.
Oh my God.
I know.
Oh my God.
The thing with this, I mean, I don't know why Willie's resisted running the icy tip in the Cesarewitch.
Lots of joy.
Yeah, when he could have had a pop at this, and the horse is clearly in good nick. Looked as though a bit further wouldn't hurt last time. Was probably ridden not to best advantage in front, probably soon enough. Would have gone here with a large chance. Then the fact that he wasn't going there with that one made me look quite closely at this one. I think it's absolutely gagging for a trip on the flat. All its runs are indicated. It's looking for further. The 2 runs it's had on the flat this season both pretty much indicated that there was a target in mind later on. I would say both times he'd ridden with a view to the future. He looks plotted up to me. In other words, I'm not really bothered about tangible form lines or out like that. I mean, my rule of thumb here is Mullins is an absolute twat for races like this. The Irish Stairs and the Ascot Stakes. He's when he's got like 3 selected from about 86 entries. I think this is the one. He's got a proper jockey on here. And I can't back anything else in the race. 3 points win.
Bang. There we go. A second Claxon on massive prices. Baby Zeus 12-1. John and Andy agreeing wholeheartedly, taking on Keys, the blogger, with his Dutch on the Fabs. Yeah, I like the case, to be honest. Yeah, he's probably one of the Vino Victrix, maybe Baby Zeus, but it's not a great race. That's the thing. So that's why it's not a vintage Cez at all, and probably Baby's Use of the Mullins. I agree with both of you. That's the best of the Mullins clan for sure. So, yeah, good stuff, chaps. Right, okay, so we've done the best bets. Right, on to the Dewhurst. where this is the principal race of the day. Obviously, the pinnacle of 2-year-old thoroughbreds, and it's an interesting race this year. But for me, probably lacks a little bit of depth. And obviously, after the withdrawal of the variant horse Sakia, Nostrum is the heavily bet 7-4, was 5-1 earlier in the week when all was sort of in the field. 7-4 now. Very impressive last time. The owner's racing manager Barry Marn says we're very excited about this horse. So what are thoughts on the Dewhurst? Nick, I'm coming to you first.
I don't do 2-year-olds. You know that.
Oh yeah, right. Fuck you, Nick. Right on to and I
just thought it looked a bit short, Nostrum, didn't it? I mean,
it does now. It definitely
does now. It didn't. Yeah, it does. I mean, when he beat the Chesham Stakes winner Holloway Boy in the Tattleswills over course and distance, it's a decent piece of form. The last colt to win this after just a 2-run campaign was Shamadale back in 2004. So we all know what he went on to do. I did think that the prices, Chaldine was slightly more interesting.
Yeah.
Because that Doncaster Group 2, the old Champagne Stakes, has produced 10 winners of this since 1970, between 74 and 2018. Of course, you've got the O'Brien horse coming back, Aesop's Fables. And the other one I thought was really interesting, because I was looking at his record with juveniles first time out, and it ain't great, but when he wins with one first time out, they usually turn out to be quite decent, was Isaac Shelby for Eyebrows Meehan.
Yeah.
And he hasn't, they've given this a really light campaign. Now, I don't know if anything's been wrong with it, but, he doesn't have that many the ones that the 2-year-olds he wins with first time out usually turn out to be pretty decent. So he's won the Superlative Stakes in early July. Not seen him since. The only slight negative is that no colt has been off the course that long in the past 50 years, with an absence since Glorious Goodwood. So, yeah. But there'd be interest. I mean, it wouldn't be, it wouldn't be my sort of race, to be honest with you. It is interesting. I will watch it, whether I'd invest in it. But they were the two that interested me at the prices, with Chaldine and Isaac Shelby.
John, I'm coming back to you on Nostrum. The Dam of Nostrum, Mirror Lake. You said to me this mare was a fabulous mare, great looking, produced some quality offspring.
Yeah, I like the really lunch, and I think he's a quality colt. However, Barry Mann, owner's racing manager, he's probably a like-for-like swap for Teddy Grimthorpe, because he brings absolutely nothing to the fucking table, does he? And I'll tell you why. Ryan Moore rides this horse's first 2 runs. Come the big day, Ryan Moore unavailable, as expected, as anyone walking down the street would have told you. And here we are with a new jockey on day. Absolutely pathetic racing management, this.
Weird, isn't it?
It should have been on this from day one. Ryan is never, ever going to ride this in a Group 1.
Yeah.
What was the fucking point?
Yeah, you've said this before. It's strange. Obviously, Ryan's right. Well, Ryan's got a ride for Aidan in the race with Aesop's Fable. But like you said, John, what is the point? Kingscote first time.
This is a horse where they have concerns about whether he's mentally switched on enough yet for this type of race. And here we are with a new jockey at Penguin. I could not consider him at that price on those grounds alone.
Yeah. No, I'm the same. So basically, we're all on a watching brief, I think, on the Dewhurst. We've got nothing to get stuck into.
If I had to have a bet, I'd have a small bet on Royal Scotsman, well fancied to win what we thought was a good gym crack at the time. Probably sound the ground a way bit lively. Looked a bit like a cat on hot bricks. This slightly more forgiving surface might just suit him. 28-1's a bit big.
The tailwind tomorrow might be interesting because they switch the stalls to the stand side, which might obviously provide more sort of front running rail bias tomorrow down the stands rail, which we've seen, in abundance over the years at Newmarket. So when people think about the draws and going about today, the stalls are now switched to the stand side. So it's So we'll see what happens tomorrow. But again, with the wind behind, who knows? 28's John. Yeah, not going to knock it. Okay, Cathryn Fry. This is an absolute honour. You've been absent and obviously not through faults of your own, but it's just how it is with John and stuff, and he won't let you on the show. So now he just won't. But now the jump season's back into full swing. Well, I say full swing. It's Chepstow. It's Chepstow. This is it. This is the old time form meeting. Do you remember? This is the old time form meeting where we used to have 7 racers on the telly, Martin Pipe and Scudamore making all and winning by 66 wickets. And what have we got now? We've got a Chepstow card. We've got not one race on the telly, and there's 75 grand race as well that's not on the telly. It's a disgrace.
It is. It's sadly a sign of things to come, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really. I think considering the summer that we've had, they've done quite well to even get this meeting on, really.
We've had some nice rain today. They've had a little bit of rain.
Yeah, we so badly need it, though. I mean, we race 2 weeks tomorrow, is it? And just praying for more rain in between there, because it's just, I've never seen the water table so low here. Well, there isn't one
you've seen with Exeter and Ludlow that it's all
and Wincanton. That's gone. Yeah. Sweet.
Well, secret water table, where I sort of look, and that's generally a pointer to how the going's going to be up the road. Is just, well, there's not even a lake. It's just when everything's rosy, it's a lake. When the going's heavy, it spills out over the road, and there's not even a lake. There's not even a bog. It's just dry. You wouldn't, if you didn't know the place, you wouldn't know there's supposed to be a lake there. And I've never seen it that dry. So we desperately need rain. But yeah, it's a bit of a shame that this. I would have thought, if anything, I would have thought that the Silver Trophy would have got that's not a bad race tomorrow. I would have thought that would have got a bit of airtime, but. Yeah, sadly. But, Lee, as you and I have discussed many times, I think, what are we, 10, 20 years away from seeing the end of National Hunt Racing?
I think so. It's the first one they'll come for. It's inevitable. And it's how it is. It's how we're moving and progressing. I'll use the word progress as a society. It's not progress. But anyway, Fry, right, I'm going to ask you now, because obviously I need some of your expertise. For Saturday, what catches your eye? Give me your principal sort of like fancies.
My principal fancies for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what? I've been thinking about my 3 best bets, and I've got 5 bets, and I'm not sure which order I'm going to put them in. But I'll just start with my first.
5 points win on each.
yeah. Let's go for it. Now let me start with So the 217 at Walthamstow, Chepstow, the Native River Chase. I love Peregrine Run, and I'm actually quite surprised at seeing him carry the weight he did at Worcester. That this is a better race. That he's not a favourite. Kitty's Light, he was just beaten in this last year. Then obviously Kitty's Light went on to have a great season, placed in major races. But tomorrow, I think Peregrine Run, he's like, this horse is running Grade 1 company. If you look back through his record and you look at the horses that he's mixed it with, and then we're going to do a checklist for tomorrow. So if you just look at like ground will be absolutely fine for him. Grand jockey in Sam Ewing, his class prevailed at Worcester. Took him there. I think that he is susceptible to younger legs, but this horse is pure class, and as we saw, he's had a second on the flat since his Worcester victory, and I think he'll win this tomorrow. I know T Clipper is going for the 3rd consecutive win at this meeting. And so the aforementioned Kisses Light, but I'd say probably my best bet of tomorrow would be Peregrine Run in the 2:17.
Lovely, 8-1 available as well. He's a dozen now. You like the golden oldies, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Maybe they take me back to when jumping was still good, but yeah, he's absolutely brilliant. It really is, and he's still got it. You know, he might not sort of. I don't think he wouldn't be cited in graded races now, but he can travel and he can carry weight, and this is his trip now. This is his ground.
Good stuff. Right, next one.
Okay. Is nobody else got any jumps selections? Am I the only one?
Richmond's abstained. Richmond said that's it. No, he's sticking to the flat for fairness in football. It's got to be fair.
What about Mr. Davis?
What? I've never jumped bet since. What was that? What was that thing that? Captain Sunshine at bloody Cheltenham about 10 years ago when your one beat it, Holly's up there.
Captain fucking Christie, man.
Captain Sunshine, Paddy Brennan went wide, or he lost about 10 lengths to start, went wide, and Holyrood beat it a length and a half. And the telly went in there.
Yeah, I thought John would have looked at Chepstow at least.
I did look at Chepstow. I thought I'll leave that to Cathryn Fry, and I'll fuck all about any of them.
Well, I did look. I don't know if there's any use, but obviously T Clipper, like you say, is going for another win at this meeting. Kitty's Light, we know what Kitty's Light does, but problem with Kitty's Light is you can if he does what he sometimes does and gets a bit behind and just doesn't get in any kind of rhythm, then that's on the back foot. So 11-4, it's a bit. So I see your point, to be honest. It's not a strong field.
It's not a strong field. The one that might, I think, obviously Il Presente won the Badger Beer last year and has had 2 wind-ups since. It might be, but I just love Peregrine Run. It's just so brave, and I think that this is it. Anyway, that's my best bet tomorrow. Anyway, let's move on. So 3:27, the 2 mile 3 chase. I'm actually going to go with Flicker Voyo. I know his form went towards the end of last season. He's on a mark of 133, which is the same mark that
Leave him alone.
You what?
I'm sorry, I'm talking to the cats.
Oh. You told me to leave him alone. I was like, what?
Go on, Cathryn.
So he's still on 133. He was on that mark when he was second to Killer Kane at Sandown in March. I think early season is the time to catch Flicker Voyo. Obviously, he's never going to be one of the leading lights at Ditchy, but I think he's got enough to take this. So again, quite disappointing with the turnout with the fields, but what are you going to do? You're just kind of used to it.
Yeah, I think Flicker Voyo, the real Flicker Voyo turns up. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah. Looking at the Silver Trophy, it won't surprise anyone to know that it was the 2 JP horses that caught my eye. Out of the 2, I'm going to go with Did They Leave You Out Too, purely because he's fit enough from the flat. He's been in decent form on the flat. Last ran in August on the flat. He's got his ground. He's got a decent jockey on board. He was second in this last year for £3 lower mark. And I would say that this is the target for this horse. He's been around a long time. They've seen what he can and can't do. And I would imagine for Broomfield Berg, which he's had a wind up, but I think he needs more of a psychologist than a wind up. But I'm interested to see if he's had a bit of the old Nicky treatment. He's promised to be a good horse, but has looked like a bit of a lunatic. And decent jockey on board, though. I think everyone breathed a sigh of relief when young John Joe took over from Nico de Boinville. I think there will be other days for Broomfield Berg, but I think it's, to me, the one that was standing out was Did They Leave You Out Too? So that's in the Silver Trophy. I have got a couple elsewhere. You'll like these, Lee.
Well, hang on. Did you leave you out to? It's Nick Gifford. He turned sugar sour. I mean... Nick Gifford. I mean, Jesus. I mean, what was that?
I think this being. I honestly think that this is. Did you leave you out two's festival tomorrow? I really.
Yeah, you're probably right because he does. He can line one up, can Nick?
He can
now and again.
Let's be fair, it's not much point in lining one up for the festival, is it? So.
Noel Houlihan, I think he's brilliant. I don't know. Everything is pointing to that tomorrow, and I think if you look at the betting already, I mean, Brewfield Berg is second favourite to Nappers Hill. It's a Bill champion. I think. I mean, surely I looked at it and thought, oh, is he just in because obviously the owners of that they sponsor the race. I don't know. To me, everything is pointing out of the two to did they leave you out too? Because I mean, he's related to Denman, isn't he? And he was like sort of supposed to be the next best thing when he first came on the scene, and he really hasn't lived up to his hype.
Did he win that bumper at Ascot or something?
Something like that, yeah. But he was. I mean, since he ran last season. He had a season off before that. And he's been doing all right on the flat. He's placed on the flat quite a bit this summer. Last summer he won on the flat. I think it's his trip. To me, the ticks are in all the right boxes tomorrow for him. But I know what you're saying. I get it.
Do you think JP's thinking, if only we'd have sent this to Fat Gordon,
Really cared. He knows he's probably got about another 100 up his sleeve,
I know, he's not bothered. He's not really that bothered. But anyway.
Plus, he has the advantage, like he has won over this course and distance as well. And he was a bit of a nutter in his younger days, but he's settled down now. I honestly think if they're going to get a win out of him this season, I think this is it. I really do. I'm not surprised to see the other one in front of him in the market, but I think that come off time that may change.
And that's interesting because you love the baby John Joe as well. You love the baby John Joe on the other. You do.
I mean, like, sorry to young John for what I'm about to say, but I actually used to babysit him when he was a kid. So
we've got John Joe Neal Jr.'s babysitter on the show. How's that? How is that, bastard? They're fantastic.
He's a lovely lad, and I'm really pleased to see him do so well. I'm delighted to see him get mounts like Brewfield Berg at Hendo's anyway. I mean, you saw him today, the race. I mean, that horse looked beat, the John Joe winner today. I don't know what price he went to in running or anything, but it was pure strength that got him home. And I'm delighted to see him doing so well. But my next two, Lee, you'll love these. They're a bit filthy.
Yes, we love filthy. Apple clean rating. We've still got Apple clean rating, by the way. God.
I know you like it when I throw in a big fat Gordon.
Yeah.
So tomorrow, Hexham 3:34, Finn the Magician. So for BFG and Sean Bowen, I love Sean Bowen as well. I think he's still very underrated. The 2 mile forward, this is absolutely ideal. Got outpaced last time at Downpatrick over 2 miles.
Terrible track.
Downpatrick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
it's
a weird thin roller coaster.
Yeah, it is. It's a real tricky track, that.
It is very tricky. The time before that at Down Royal, he was in the lead when he came down at last, but that fall wasn't entirely his fault. He got bumped by the other faller, which then in turn caused him to fall. Perth bumper winner for the BFG and Sean Bowen back in the summer, and I think he's the standout at Hexham tomorrow. He doesn't take a lot to be the standout at Hexham, but there you go. I don't very often bet at Hexham, but he caught my eye tomorrow. And then Fairy House, you'll like this one.
Yeah.
In a handicap hurdle. Diana, 4:30 at Fairy House tomorrow. Where's the tongue tie is normal. Absolutely family of this horse. The Grand Dame is Opera Hat. She was a massive favourite of mine. 11-2, Kieran Buckley taking the 5 off. Again, ticks the boxes on ground. She was second last time out at Down Royal. She was beaten by one of Matthew Smith's, one called Poet, who was, I'd say, a little bit more unexposed than she was. Yeah, he's since found to be exposed now because again he's losing his form. But she was very keen that day. She did win a maiden before that, and I think she's got a fantastic chance tomorrow. So that's Diana at 4:30 at Fairy House. So they are my 5 tomorrow.
Love it.
I haven't been betting or tipping for a long while. I kind of took the summer off. I've been busy at the pool and just dipping into filthy Irish handicaps.
Baywatch.
Yeah. That's it.
The Lider, the Gloucestershire Lider. Yeah.
If only it was that glamorous, but it really isn't. Especially the horrible hot summer that we've had.
It's absolutely superb to have you back on the show, and obviously we'll see more of Fry later this winter when the jump season gets in full swing, because we need more jumps judges. You know, Andy Richmond, of course, is the same. We've got Adam Norman. He's a dual persona. It's like remember me, myself, and Irene. Adam Norman becomes Norman Adams, and so we've got him to come as well. We've got the smoke alarm, which is Neverlander.
Neverlander smoke.
Who keeps training winners at big prices, but gambles and doesn't
never
tell anyone. Doesn't tell any confidence.
Does it?
A total disgrace is Neverlander, and when he comes back on the show, we shall tell him that. So we've got some great jumps actually this week. It's great to have Fry back on the show with these selections, and I hope you lot have enjoyed it. Right, before we finish the show chaps, any other business on the flat this weekend? Any interest, Andy? Anything else?
No, I think I'm just about maybe the 240 at York. Protagonist for the shirt again, and then 205. I did think that the Johnny Murta horse, Bay of Plenty, which has been well backed, was quite interesting. And I did like the one, the one in the 225, the Autumn Stakes. The horse that's got a Derby entry, the Kingman colt, Epicatus, the Gosling.
Yes.
Now with horses by Kingman, the Kingman colts, when they make their debut over 7 furlongs plus, have got a superb record. And the trainer with the best record, and this is a bit left field, trainer with the best record is Johnny Gosden. He's 8 from 17 with them. The last 7 of horses of this type, you see a Johnny G horse, 7 furlong Kingman colt, first time out. The last 7 have gone 1-1-1, 2-1-1-2. They've won at 6-4, 8-1, 7-2, 11-1, 11-1.
Bang, bingo, banger.
So if you see one like that, there's not many of them, but when they generally score pretty well first time out, and that form has worked out really well of that race it won on the July course, because the 4th was Flying Honours, which runs in which is favourite for the Zetland.
Andy, that 240 at York, none of them have got any soft ground form, have they?
Not really. I'm sort of flying a bit of a kite here with Mr. Haggis.
The only one that has is the Christopher one that is coming.
Well, he had one there today which didn't have any real soft ground form. The thing that won from the 19 stall.
Oh yeah.
I still had to back because it was Haggis, and he had 2 winners there today, didn't he? He's in good form. I mean, he's still chasing the trainer's title with Mr. Appleby, isn't he? So there won't be much between them, I shouldn't think. And of course, he should have the penalty kicking by you to come.
Yeah, good stuff. Nick, John, anything else for you chaps? John?
No, I'm going to get off and bang the living shit out my Liz Truss sex doll.
On that note,
Sarah Palin's worn out, is she?
Yeah, the Apple. This is a clean show rating has now disappeared. It will go off the Apple podcast in a few days. So we hope you enjoyed that, folks. Lovely from Fry, a comeback from Fry for the winter ahead. We've got Andy Richmond, Nick Davis, John, and myself with some good well, not me, but some great selections from the panel at big prices. 2 klaxons. That's all from us. We're back on Sunday with a sermon. Me, John, and Chris, as usual. Bye for now.